Hello, thank you for joining us today for an overview of the iReady Diagnostic and Instruction program. My name is Craig Pritchard. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Curriculum Associates here in Utah, and I'll be leading you through a short 20 to 25 minute overview of our program so that you understand how it can assist your students, teachers, and administrators in driving instruction and improving reading in K-3. I want to give you a little bit of background and tell you a little bit about our program and our company. And explain to you a little bit about why you would probably want to consider iReady as you're looking at programs that are available to help with the K-3 reading initiative. One of the first key things and key differentiators with iReady and other programs that are available is that we are a new program. We're kind of one of the new kids on the block, and that's great because it means that we were built from scratch. We have not been around for 10 years. We don't have a lot of old content that we've tried to repurpose. Curriculum Associates built iReady to specifically address the rigors and complexity of the new Common Core skills. And as we did so, we were able to integrate the Utah core standards into the program. So this is truly a custom new program that's brand new, built for you, and aligned with the Utah core standards. So everything that you see in the program is going to be positioned and reported out to you in terms of what we do here in Utah. iReady is a web-based system. It's a 100% online system. Your students and teachers can access the program from any computer that has an updated internet browser and that plays Flash. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, but generally speaking, it works great on Macs, Windows PCs, Chromebooks, Netbooks, any of those. We handle all of the roster uploads, can integrate with your SIS systems, and because it's web-based, it also includes updates and support and new content that's pushed out regularly. In fact, we just recently pushed out over 80 hours of new content specifically to address close reading and to teach kids close reading. So you're always getting new content, updated content, patches, fixes, all of that's included. And the interface that we've created is extremely intuitive. Teachers absolutely love the reports that iReady provides. And that's one of the other key differentiators, is that this is a program that is really designed to drive instruction, not only in the lab, but also in the classroom. So we don't want iReady to just be something that you shuffle your kids down to the lab, have them sit in front of the computers for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. Sure, you need to do that, but we really designed this system so that it can help teachers understand what they need to be doing in the classroom, and then the lab time supports that, and that blended approach really helps drive the growth that you need for these students that are struggling with reading. Because of the adaptive diagnostic, iReady works great with all of your students. So it's not a program that was built just for ELL students. It's not a program that was built just for K-3. It is designed to address the skill needs for all of your students. And because of the adaptive assessment, it can drill down across grade levels and really pinpoint what student needs are and help you target your interventions and target your supports to those needs. Finally, although we're new, we have a lot of research behind the program which shows that we are correlated, that we're predictive, and that we are effective. So we've done correlations that are very high on both a national and a SAGE level here locally. We have research that shows that we can predict outcomes, and that if you use the program, it is effective and it will help your students grow. So as we look at that and kind of talk about that research a little bit, across the nation, iReady has been approved in many states. Obviously here in Utah, we are approved for this K-3 reading initiative. We are also approved by the Utah State Office of Education as a K-8 math intervention. Across the nation, New York, Ohio, Virginia also use us as teacher effectiveness measures. We've worked very closely with the state of New York, and we have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of users in New York. New York was one of the first states that moved to a new Common Core assessment. And because we have such a large population of users there, we've been able to get some great independent research out of the state of New York that shows that iReady is highly correlated to the New York Common Core assessment. Generally speaking, in correlations like this, anything better than 0.70 is considered very strong. And iReady's average correlation was 0.82, one of the highest in the industries. We took that a step further and looked at that and said, how predictive is that? So when a student takes iReady, does that mirror what we then see when they take the Common Core assessment? And the answer was yes, it does, absolutely. And we were accurate for about 85% of the students, again, over a very large sample. The final piece is when we look at how does the program work. iReady is a program that we recommend 45 minutes per week of instruction. And our research shows that students who get that 45 minutes a week grow significantly more than their peers who don't have that much time on the system. In reading, it's 44% more. So when you're talking about kids who need extra support and extra interventions, if you're able to get them almost a 50% better growth, that's a big step. And iReady can deliver that for you. And we have backup and research to show that. This is just a slide to kind of let you know some of the people that we worked with. The recommendations that you're going to see from iReady through our reports where we give you the next steps are not things that we just made up. We worked very closely with our national panel of experts. Dr. Richard Brown from USC was our lead psychometrician, but we also partnered with the National Reading Panel and the Florida Center for Reading Research and followed those best practices that they outlined. And so the recommendations that we are giving to you for next steps to do with your students are coming directly from these leading organizations and these leading experts. We field test it, we norm it with hundreds of thousands of students, and across the nation, we're well over 3 million users, on our way to 4 million users. So it's a new program. It's designed for the Common Core, but it's research-based and it has definite efficacy research behind it to help you feel confident that if you use it, your students will grow. So to talk about iReady, a little bit higher 30,000 foot view here, we are a math and reading program. So although specifically today we're talking about this K3 initiative for reading here in the state of Utah, I want you to know that iReady is a bigger program than that. We have an assessment, which is an adaptive assessment that goes through K through 12. And then we provide online instruction in grades K through 8, again in both math and reading. So if it's a case of you're looking for a solution that's wider than just K3 reading, iReady could certainly match those needs, and we'd be happy to talk to you offline about those extra needs as well. How does iReady work? Well, this is the general outline of the program. First, everything starts with our diagnostic assessment. Again, this diagnostic assessment is an adaptive assessment. It's going to change question by question until it can drill down and really give you specifics on what your students know and don't know. Because everything is going to be driven by what your kids know and where their gaps are. When we give you reports and we give you teacher-directed instructional supports, those are going to be based on what we identified in this assessment. So it's not a placement test, it's a true assessment. The diagnostic assessment takes about 45 minutes, but it's not timed. Once that's done, we automatically provide these teacher reports, and then we automatically place your students in a course of study so that they are getting differentiated lessons based on what they need. We also have multiple ways that you can progress monitor, and you can use any or all of these depending on your students and your school or district needs. But we do growth monitoring so that you can see if your kids are making enough growth to get where they need to be at the end of the year. We have quizzes at the end of each lesson that allow you to see how they're doing in the specific content that they're working on that week, and you can know if they're getting stuck with any concepts, if you need to jump in and provide some extra support. And then we also have Standards Mastery, which is a new feature that we just released. And again, going back to that web-based platform, we're able to push out these new features automatically. And they just happen behind the scenes. And the next day you log on, voila, you've got cool new content, cool new features in iReady that are there ready to be used. Standards Mastery is one of those that we just launched, and it allows you to go in and test a specific standard or family of standards, and it will not only tell you if your students have mastered those standards, but it gives you error analysis. So it'll come back and tell you 30% of your class selected answer B, and they probably selected answer B because they didn't understand this vocabulary term, or because they didn't understand main idea in detail. So a great way to drill down even more deeply, and again, help really drive what your teachers are doing and drive that individualization of the content that you're providing at your school. The adaptive diagnostic, again, I mentioned, it's going to average about 30 to 45 minutes for your students. It's not timed. They can start and stop as often as they need to. For your younger kiddos, we recommend that you break that up into a couple of sessions, 15, 20-minute testing sessions. It marks exactly where they are. If they need to stop, they come back exactly to the same question. There's no need to start over. But it adapts up and down throughout each of the domains so that we can give you very specific information. We don't want to simply say, Susie is a second grader and she's not reading on level. You already know that. We want to tell you that Susie's a second grader, she's not reading on level, and she's below level in phonics, or she's below level in vocabulary. And this is why she's below level, because she's missing these skills. And that's where iReady is very, very different than the other programs. We provide that deep level of information for teachers to individualize what they're doing, and the online system will individualize the lessons automatically for the students. And that's a powerful, powerful blended approach. In reading, we assess and provide support in the foundational areas of phonological awareness, phonics, high-frequency words, vocabulary, and here you'll notice in comprehension that we test and provide support separately for informational text and literary text, again in keeping with the new Common Core focus and emphasis. So this is what it looks like for your students. First of all, we will work with you and we will load your teacher and student rosters. There's no need for you to do any of that. We create all of the accounts, set up everything for you. You just need to shuffle your students down to the lab and get them logged on. When your students log on, the first thing they do is pick a study buddy. And this is one of the pieces of iReady that we get a lot of compliments on. It's a highly engaging system. Your students are engaged from the minute they sit down. They get to pick a study buddy, a character, they get to choose a background theme, and as they start to go through the test, the questions are even going to look almost game-like. So I'm going to show you just a few examples of some of the items that your students would see through the assessment so that you understand how it works and what some of the supports are that we provide. This is an example of a kindergarten level question. In this case, your students would only see the purple box. And when this question pops up, it would automatically read, find the word that rhymes with key. Anywhere the speaker icon shows up, your students can hover over that to have this read to them again. So they could have the question read to them again. They can hear key, fly, car, and tree. This is great for your language learners or your struggling readers. We provide this auditory and visual support generally up through about the second grade. That's going to vary based on the types of questions. As we move along, in this case, we're asking them to identify a word. We'll say find the word furniture, but here obviously we don't read furniture, and we've also pulled back some of the visual support. They're no longer pictures. So again, that's the adaptability of the assessment. It changes as the student's ability changes. Here's an example of a kindergarten level comprehension question that is specific to informational text. So you'll see that we're providing much more support in this question than we provide in a first grade question. And as we move along and as the content gets higher, we also include a lot of tech-enhanced items. So the items that your students see as they move through iReady will mirror very closely what they're seeing on Sage and how they're being asked to do things, whether that's tech-enhanced items, reading a passage, watching a video, comparing them, if it's drag and drop, if it's select multiple correct answers, if it's select a section of the text that supports your answer. All of these items that they're seeing are mirroring what your students are going to be doing on Sage or any other National Common Core test. So it's a great prep, if you will, for them to get used to that. And in a 30 to 45 minute block of testing, it helps them begin to build a little bit of that testing stamina that they're going to need as they get older. At this point, as soon as your students are done, they're ready for their reports, and the reports are available for your teachers. This is a quote from a principal in the Murray School District, and what she talks about is the fact that the information that her teachers get is really just as important in driving how they're structuring their support system at their school as the online instruction. So I want to show you what iReady really looks like for your teachers, what the supports are for them. I'm going to log in as an administrator into the iReady system. So I'm going directly into the iReady system here, and I'm going to pull up some reports for you to show you what we provide for teachers. The first thing a teacher would look at would really be just a classroom report. I'd want to know how my class did on the assessment so that I can kind of get a feel for where everyone shakes out. Here I have a very easy to read color-coded grid that shows me my students who are on or above level, those who are almost there, and then those who are significantly below grade level. Again, all of these scores and all of this information is being presented to you in terms of how did those students perform against the new core skills. So in this case, I've got quite a few kids in my class who are on level. I have another large chunk here that are almost there, and then I have a couple of kiddos who are really struggling at the bottom. So I can quickly get a view of where my class shakes down. The great thing about this report is that it allows me to start doing a little sorting. So it's very easy for me to click on phonics and it will show me just the students who are struggling in phonics. Or if I were to look at comprehension and informational text, it's going to show me that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids who are 2 grade levels below in comprehension informational text. This is a second grade class, and I have 6 kids who are performing at a kindergarten level in informational text. And as I look at those kids, I might be surprised that 2 of them are my students who are on or above level overall. So I can start to see some trends that I might miss otherwise. From here, a teacher would drill down and really look at these students individually to see what their needs are. So if I take Darren, who's the lowest performer here at comprehension and informational text, I can go into Darren's profile and it will show me that at this point Darren is a second grader. This is where we hope Darren is, and he's a little bit below. He's performing at a first grade level. As I look at his detail for each domain, I can see that he tested out of phonological awareness. He's almost on level in phonics, high frequency words, and vocabulary, and then in comprehension he's quite a bit behind, which we would probably expect based on some of these other domains. So as a teacher, I can go in and say, well, I'm going to start with phonics, and when I look at phonics, this is going to provide for me very specific information on what I need to do with Darren. So here I see on the left what Darren can do. You'll notice this little Utah icon. When I click on that, it shows me the specific Utah core standard that Darren has shown mastery of. So I have a present level of performance, some things that he can do. We can celebrate those things. And over on the right, it shows me what do I need to do next with Darren. So basically, this is where we're outlining for teachers if you have 5 minutes and you're pulling Darren aside to work individually with him, what are the things you can do that are going to be the most impactful to help move Darren up, to get him up to level and to catch him up with his peers and where he needs to be? And we tell you in plain language what needs to be taught. We need to be teaching or reviewing words with a final E, teach sounds for soft C and soft G, and on and on and on. So we provide that very specific information for you here so that you can work on that in pull-out situations with Darren. Below this, we also provide these tools for instruction. So these PDFs are mini lesson plans that you can use with Darren that help reteach the skills that we just identified as being an area of need for him. These PDFs are available for teachers to use, to print, to copy, whatever they'd like to do with them. They're very explicit, step by step. We'll tell you if you need any additional resources or materials there, and they walk you through what to say all the way through what to do. One of the great things is there's always a check for understanding box. So if you get to the end and your student is still struggling, we help you know some additional things that you might be able to do to provide support for that student. And this is the same for all of these tabs. So when you look at comprehension informational text, again, what can Darren do? He's still at the early stages, so there's not a lot of things he's really mastered at this point. He's at a kindergarten level. What do I need to do next with him? What do I need to work on next? All of these areas here I can work on. And again, at the bottom, I have some resources that I can use to help reteach. And these resources, again, are given and provided at the instructional level that Darren's on. So when you have a third grader who's performing at a kindergarten level in phonics, these PDFs will be at that kindergarten level in phonics. And there's no need for your teachers to run around wondering and trying to find extra resources to teach at those lower grade levels. They're all right there for you. Now, the question I always get at this point is, hey, that's awesome. Could you do this for my whole class? And the answer to that is absolutely. So we take this class report that I showed you to begin with the green, yellow, and red, and we automatically group your students for you. We group your students into 5 profiles. And each of those profiles, we then provide support. So if I go into profile 2, it's going to tell me that the priorities for this are phonics and starting on comprehension. And it tells me who my students are. I can resort them if I need to kind of regroup even more in this small group. And then it's going to outline for me, what do I do with this group of students when I pull them aside? And again, very explicit, teach this, practice this. At the bottom, we do the same thing again. We provide for you these PDFs, these mini lesson plans, so that when you pull those students aside, you have an activity, an intervention that you can do that's going to support all of these students. So here's a main idea, identifying main idea. And again, it works the same whether I'm dealing with my Profile 1 students who are below in everything, or if I'm dealing with my Profile 5 students who are my students who are on or above level in every area, and they're really ready for some challenge material. So when I go and look at their resources are going to be being provided at that next step, that next level that they're ready to reach to, which is going to be above grade level, but we don't want those kiddos sitting there getting bored either. So iReady is designed, again, this goes back to that dual approach. We want teachers using these reports to drive what's happening in their class. At the same time, your students, when they log on to their individual homepage, your students are getting individual lessons. So when they go to their homepage, they have buttons here to start their lessons. Their lessons are queued up, ready for them to go. They can track their progress. We have games. They earn coins and credits that they can use to play games. So that motivation is there. There's motivation. They can see how far along they've gotten. If they click on detail, they can also see the specific pass rate of the lessons. And the way the lessons are set up is all of this data that we collect through the assessment and the data that's provided in those reports is really tied to instruction. So I just showed you all the small group lessons and those PDFs, those intervention lesson plans. Those are for small group, for individual work that the teachers are leading. And then the students go out and they work on their individual lessons online. So let me show you what those personalized lessons look like that the students go off and work on. So when a student goes out, I'm going to show you a couple of lessons. One is a kindergarten lesson. So when a student goes out, these are the lessons that they get. And again, we assign these automatically based on how they did in the assessment. iReady affords teachers the flexibility to go in and make assignments as well. So it's a case where we're going to run the system in case you don't. But if you have teachers that are more hands-on, that want to use the system to provide specific supports, or if they feel like students need extra help in certain areas, or if they just wanted to assign something to their entire class and use it more for front loading of what they're going to cover in class next week, they have the flexibility and ability to do whatever they want with the system. It's very, very flexible in that regard. This is a kindergarten lesson. I want to just show you a little bit of a lesson. We're going to watch a couple of minutes of this.
Hello students, my name is Miss Sharp. We're going to play a rhyming word game in class today. Would you like to join us? Words rhyme when they have similar ending sounds. Here's an example. Say the word pink. Now say the word wink. Pink and wink have the same ending sounds. What else rhymes with the word pink? Click on all the pictures whose names rhyme with pink.
So
Sink,
here's a lesson
lip,
about rhyming,
blink,
which is typically
brink,
a more confusing concept for some of our younger kids. And you'll notice that we're providing auditory support as we hover over that. We're providing pictures. Again, this is a system that works great if you have language students or struggling readers.
All the pictures whose names rhyme with pink.
I'm going to get one wrong.
Lip. Lip does not end like the word pink. They do not rhyme.
Okay, so they do not rhyme. It's kind of helping me here.
Path does not end like the word pink.
So
they do not rhyme.
Path and pink could be confusing because students are hearing the p sound and they're thinking, oh, that rhymes. No, we're talking about rhyming ending words. Link.
You're right.
Okay.
Link.
So it gives me some confirmation you're right. Absolutely. Okay.
Pink. You're right.
Okay.
Sing
so
rhymes with
as this
pink.
lesson continues on, the student will have more and more opportunity to engage with the lesson. So this is not a static lesson that they simply sit and watch. They have to engage with the lesson, and as they continue on, it will continue that gradual release model where they will have more and more opportunity to work on their own. It will continue through. The lesson will get harder as they move along, and then at the end there will be a quiz. So we'll be able to monitor at the end, do my students know the content that we've been teaching? Did they get it? Okay. I want to show you one more lesson. This is a little bit higher level lesson. This is a 3rd grade lesson. You'll notice there's a different look and feel here to the lesson. As this lesson starts, these different cast of characters, they always start with a text message or an instant message between each other, kind of setting up what's going on. They're like, hey, are you busy? It's like, well, I'm working on an invention. And she's like, well, you need to hurry over to the park. I've got something to show you. So the kids kind of get excited about, hey, what's going to happen? We're going to skip this intro piece.
If you can imagine. All right, sis. What is it that required my immediate attention?
Don't you see it? Look, it's right there.
Oh no, you must be seeing things again. All I see are trees, grass, sticks.
Yeah, sticks. That's it. It's like some sort of stick creature. Do you see it? Click on the creature I'm talking about.
So it asks the students to interact.
Quite remarkable. This does appear to be a living thing. Let's see if I can find some more information on it. Check it out. The creature you found is an insect called a walking stick. It's incredible how much it resembles a real stick. Look at the caption for the picture. The walking stick is one of nature's best masters of disguise. It uses an adaptation called camouflage.
Ooh, a master of disguise. That sounds interesting. But I have some questions. What is an adaptation? And what is camouflage?
Excellent inquiry, sis. Look where it says, learn more. It has a picture of a different animal. And maybe if we click on it, we'll learn more about animal camouflage. Come on, let's do it.
Whoa, hold up, speed reader. Before we do that, we should think about a few things.
Okay, so a great example of an informational text lesson, as your students are moving more and more into the digital world, content and information being presented in this informational text arena is becoming more and more important, and understanding how to interpret that, how to find the information, and as this lesson is talking about, how do we ask questions about this to learn more? It's introducing vocabulary, it's including the sciences, a very engaging lesson, and again, as the students continue, it will walk them through this, it will teach them explicitly, and then it will gradually release them to try things on their own, to learn on their own, ending up with a quiz at the end to help us understand, did they get what we wanted them to get? So the content's engaging, and again, all of this content, as we look at that, is going right back into these recommendations in these reports that we get, whether it's an individual student report that we're looking at, or if it is the class reports that we're looking at. Additionally, we provide district and school level reports that help administrators really understand what's happening in their classes and in their school and their district. This is an example of one of our, probably our most popular reports. It's an intervention screener report that's available, and it helps you see how many of your students are shaking out at risk for Tier 3, Tier 2, on or above level. You can see by grade, so you can kind of quickly go through and look and see, well, I see in 4th grade that I've got the highest percentage of students who are below level. So I know, and I've got the smallest percentage of students who are on level. So 4th grade, there's something going on. You can dive deeper into the content, dive deeper into the assessment data, and help figure out what is it that we need to reteach or teach differently or address differently. What extra supports do we need to provide so that we can change all this data? And all of this will change as you redo the assessment. These reports will repopulate. Generally, we recommend having your students go through the main assessment 3 times a year. Typically, it's a beginning, middle, and end of the year assessment, so that you get that data first thing to know where the holes are. You get it midway through so that you can adapt and make changes. And then again, at the end of the year, you're going to get that so that you can go back and look and talk about and analyze the growth and how did your students grow, and what worked and what did not work. So again, all of the data is tied to the instruction and driving what happens in the instruction. I want to just wrap up with talking a little bit about how we support you in your schools and your districts. So this is the team that you would be working with. Again, I'm Craig. Joel Kanaika is our local sales rep here in Utah. Joel just joined us after more than 10 years with Imagine Learning. So he's very experienced here in the state of Utah and with providing interventions and supports for students who are struggling with reading. We're your local sales team. We also support you with account management and PD support. So Corey is our dedicated account manager. I touched on this a little bit, but Corey is really a lifeline. He works with us. He will help you upload all of your rosters, help you export your data from your SIS, get that integrated in. He can help you run custom reports, any tech support issues. Corey's there as your lifeline to help you with that, to make getting up and running on iReady as quick and easy as possible. Tracy is our PD director for the West region, and so Tracy works with us to provide the professional development. We provide on-site support. We can have webinars. Typically speaking, when you get started with iReady, we recommend a getting started session to begin with. We like to do that before you start using the program so that your teachers are trained on how the assessment's going to work and what to expect when they take the students to the lab. That session runs about 2 to 2.5 hours. And then once you're up and running and you've had a chance to get all of your students through the assessment and they've had a few weeks of instruction, then we like to come back for a data session. And at this point, it's great because you have your own student data to look at and analyze, and we can go through that with you, and we can really go to that next level of, okay, now that our kids are in it and working, what do we do to fine tune it and customize it even more to make it more helpful for our class and our needs. So that second session takes, again, usually a couple of hours, and we can provide support any way you need. Again, we have all the support. We like to work with your assessment, curriculum, and technology teams to make sure that everything works correctly. We will be posting a link to our technical specs. There is a systems checker that you can run to make sure that your system will work with iReady, and we're there to support you any way we can. We would love to come and talk with you about iReady to provide an in-person demo, or if you'd like trial access to our demo, contact either Joel or myself, and we would be happy to set you up with that and answer any additional questions that we can. Thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it. Please contact us if we can help you.